Oh, really?
Oh, no.
He was in Chicago,
Going up to Rocky River.
but now he's at the league out at Toledo. He was in a tournament in Chicago. Got hit.
Oh, no.
So,
So what's his status right now?
and I have no weight bearing on the leg, because they had surgery.
So much for the season, but
I think he's gonna play in college.
who's he gonna play for?
I don't know, there's a team in Indiana that's it.
Cool. No Minnesota teams then.
He's a weird sport winner. Doesn't follow the thing. Hi, Mayor. How are you?
Yeah. Well, you tell me, so.
It did, yeah. Right on. Let's hold stuff out. Right, camera. Yeah. What's it doing? The French.
Well, I was in a meeting down. Oh, second, so it's only one.
Okay, well, let me know so that we can just stay on top then, because I know that you were concerned about looking for down. Absolutely, absolutely, all right. Everything is great.
All right, good.
Let's be ready for an exercise, so I can come over and be all right.
That's where I'm at.
Nice.
I know, Wondering.
Yes. Okay. I've got a lot with.
Morning, how are you? Say good morning to the.
Very good catching up. See you later. Yep.
Radio, good, thank you.
Don't stop the room. I don't remember the exact amount. Or you guys part of the project. I could so much. Yeah, yeah, that's still good. I think it didn't work the same way I bet. Yeah, probably, really probably. There are two more filters in there, so usually we let the community style allow for. Yeah, let us know the options of the people out there. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's really up to you. You don't want one on the side. Whatever you Yeah, it's. Their own standard. That's, that you could do that. Continue. If you don't want. Yeah, I could see a line on thing. Saying you guys can take that. 36.
It's when they go down to Barclays.
Yeah, whatever you guys can say, no, it's not almost.
I let it go, don't worry about it.
So, when I was in high school. Thanks.
You want the second. If they didn't. I'll fight it, or they just up on there. Right, oh, until.
Good.
Thanks, how are you?
Good. I don't know what I'm doing.
I don't know. Oh, okay, now this is something new.
Yeah, we think so too.
You guys sitting in this corner.
There you go.
I'm thinking.
We carpool, that's why.
We did my wife and my dad, we had our marriage practice, and I sent a text out these two days.
Yes. And then said to the entire board, you carpool, still don't say you carpool.
Well, he did say we would get points.
I said, it was the name of the way, I said they'd be proud. Right?
He did.
And my, Ms. Chris talked to you, so you know, maybe get together next week for.
I understand.
Next week.
But I mean, I'd rather. To the office, but.
Yes.
Perfect.
Morning.
All these people, yeah, how you doing? Happy New Year. I'm like, what's with all these, I have got a faith in people.
I know, it's
You know?
You're probably over this.
Back in the stack, thank you much.
Welcome.
I'll see you later.
Friends of Tanner.
Of course,
Yeah.
yeah, you know him well, or,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's soccer.
Dan and I played soccer.
Oh, did you?
That's how much we know.
Oh,
So,
oh, we're on.
yeah. I know it's.
How are you? We're good, thank you. Very good.
That is 20 generations. No,
I just saw Terry, that's it. Oh.
yeah, he's pretty cool. Tell them hello if you see them again soon.
Oh.
So you guys playing indoor soccer? You played indoor soccer at all?
I did, my son did, that both the kids did.
Nice.
Yeah.
Mayor, how you doing? Thanks for the call. I understand.
Morning, how are you? Good. Glad to hear it. Good day.
I think got it, too.
Good, I was using up your conference room there a minute ago for
Really?
non-NOAC.
Oh, not no,
business.
okay, I'm like,
So, yeah.
I didn't hear anything blue.
Right? You good to go?
You have my name tag, your name tag. Oh, yeah, I do, it's there.
Good to go, Ryan?
Yeah,
Mostly on governance today, is that right?
entirely.
Yeah, okay. Good morning, everybody. Happy New Year to the board members, our alternates, and our staff. Here we are in 2026 at the NOACA special meeting of the board, January 9th, 2026, 10 o'clock. We okay to go? All right, okay. Well, I call to order this meeting at 10:04, and let us take a moment to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In compliance with notification requirements of Ohio's open meeting law, notice of this meeting has been publicly posted and the major public media has been notified. NOACA conducts its meetings according to Robert's Rules of Order. Members will raise their hand to move, second, and speak to a motion. Actions during the meeting will be taken by voice vote. If any member feels the need to abstain from any vote due to a conflict of interest, he or she should state their intention to abstain when the matter is introduced by the chair for the presentation for the record. Subsequently, that member shall not participate in any discussion of the matter for which a conflict exists. According to Robert's Rules, absence from a meeting does not require a member to abstain from voting on the minutes. If a member still wishes to abstain, he or she should state their intention for the record. For the benefit of our guests from the public and the recording of this meeting, please be sure to speak into the microphone. The microphones can be turned on and off using the button on top of them. Thank you. Want to ask, is there any member of the public that is here to speak today? I don't think so. Brenda? Okay, seeing none. We've got most of this, folks, today is about 2 items on governance. Our hope is to have a robust dialogue and get through relatively quick today, but that's always a hope, and we'll take the time we need. But those are the 2 items that you are here today. I think they're pretty complicated from having spoken yesterday with Grace and with Ryan, our counsel, but we will do our best to get them explained and get the conversation on the floor. If I can, as a few members are still getting seated, welcome. I did want to just reflect on another loss on our board, of past board member. He is Hunter Morrison, the former planning director of the city of Cleveland. I bring him up because he chaired this board as well and served many years on it. And just thought, I know many of you know him and some of you didn't, but if we could just give a moment of silence for Hunter Morrison. Thank you. Hunter, his legacy well precedes him. Mayor Bibb, you can appreciate this. His legacy at North Coast Harbor, he helped build up that entire harbor downtown that we've all used, from the Rock Hall to the Science Center. He was the man behind the plan for Gateway, the ballpark, and the arena, and a lot for the neighborhoods throughout, and did a lot of work with NOACA and connecting the NOACA region. And the last time I heard his voice apropos to today's meeting was he was guiding us on governance from a speaker in this room last time I heard him. Anything you want to say, Grace? I know you knew him well.
You know, Hunter Morrison, in addition to being a NOACA board president twice and having been a longtime member representing the city of Cleveland, after his departure from the city, he returned to work with NOACA as the executive director of the Northeast Ohio Sustainable Communities Consortium, now known as Vibrant Neo. So he worked directly for us, and NOACA was the organizing MPO. There were 4 MPOs that worked with him on this, but we were the organizing, the fiduciary, and we worked many years with him. I personally had 3 years with him on that board, and together, along with all of the staff and the region, we won the Daniel Burnham Award for Best Comprehensive Plan in the country, which is a huge achievement. So I do want to recognize Hunter for the work that he did, not just for NOACA, but for the super region, which is 12 counties.
Yeah, thank you, Grace. This work with the city speaks for itself. And again, hearts out to the mayor, council president, council members. Callie, he was our predecessor, but he also did a lot of work in this region across many counties. So his funeral services are, celebration of his life is going to be next Saturday, January 17th at 10:30 at the City Club of Cleveland on Euclid. Well, thank you. Anybody else on any matters? Okay. I'm going to go to the executive director's report.
I have no report today since it is a special meeting, but I did want to recognize Mayor Costelli, Mayor DeGeeter, and Mayor Alai for carpooling to the meeting today. So thank you very much.
Who drove?
For choosing multimodal ride-sharing transportation.
Nice job, guys. That's impressive. All right. You live to tell about it. Okay, so the balance of the meeting is going to be about governance. I want to thank Trustee Brandon, who chairs the governance committee. We'll see how this goes. Jeff, got a lot to cover. Think Grace and Liz are going to present to you what's before us in Resolution 26001 and 26002. What I want to say for those who haven't been on the governance committee or steady throughout all these discussions, we were hesitant to convene all of you in a special meeting just for this today, but there's a lot of change going on in governance as it relates to some important topics, like the county's process to actually affirm members. I think you guys have, as a group, thought it should be more appropriate that the local county, rather than the county sort of overseeing people they don't know in other counties, might be the preferred route. That's one of the things we're talking about today. I put that in pretty layman's terms. We're also talking about some of the code of regulations that we got to work through. But, you know, I know we want to get this right. We want to make sure we have representation as you as the body want to see it, and that you have purview over your own domain. So that's what today's about, these two resolutions that we're going to discuss. And I want to say advance, if this needs more work, we want to hear your conversation and feedback today. And if we need more work on it, we'll send it back. All right. Grace.
Yes, good morning again. Liz Barlick is going to make the presentation for us today. Let's give her some grace since this is a very complicated item, and I've asked her to go through it very, very slowly so we can be ensured that we understand the material before we get to the discussion and any action. As the president said, we've been working on this for months. Liz will take us through the timeline. We are here today as a special meeting because the Code of Regulations requires a reading or a discussion at one board meeting and then approval at another. So that's what we're here today for, and I will turn it over to Liz to give us the presentation.
Thank you. Good morning to the board. As Grace, Executive Director Galucci introduced, I'm Liz Barlick. I'm the Associate Director of Executive Affairs and Legal Counsel for NOACA.
Liz, just 1 second. I think we have a question before the presentation begins.
I apologize.
No, that's okay.
What quick
Mr. Clayton.
nuance? So this is the reading, or the reading was in the last meeting?
Great
Yeah.
question. So the reading was at the December meeting, and we are holding the special meeting before the meeting on January 23rd. So if there are changes that are adopted today, they can be implemented for calendar year 2026.
The actual vote on this would
Is
be.
today,
Is today, okay.
is today, right?
2 more questions before we start. Mayor Bobst. Oh, your TVs are not working. Okay, can we get an IT lifeline? Anybody in the back? Help this side of the room? How's this side of the room? One's out. Okay,
Good on this side, yeah.
we'll try to get that fixed. And you got one over here. Okay. I think we'll go back to Liz. Liz, go ahead.
And before Liz gets started, I do want to say she's going to go through both resolutions at the same time because they are connected. So we want you to understand how they work together and then go ahead and get into discussion and vote.
Thank you. All right. As Director Galucci said, we're going to be reviewing both resolutions because they do have significant overlap. They are related and they're both the result of a review by the Governance Committee of the board members and the member representation. So before you is Resolution 2026-001, which is a Code of Regulations revision to Article 9 regarding ratification, and Resolution 2026-002, which is a Code of Regulations revision regarding Section 4.2. So the previous action is the Governance Committee recommended these two code changes, again, an amendment to Article 9 that creates an exception to the requirement of ratification to changes to Article 4, and an amendment to Section 4.2, which lists out all the members of the NOACA board and their qualifications. So these were proposed amendments made by the Governance Committee. They were presented to you all for information in December. So this is generally our code amendment process. So we've already touched on this a little bit, but I do want to orient you and give you a reminder as the process for amending the code and ultimately why you're here today at a special meeting. So amendments to NOACA's Code of Regulations start with the Governance Committee. Under Section 6.6 of the code, it is the responsibility of the Governance Committee to review and recommend to the board any proposed revisions to the Code of Regulations. Article 9 of the code requires that the board is given notice of the proposed changes at an initial meeting, and then at a subsequent meeting, action is taken. So recommendations came from the Governance Committee. It was presented to the board at your regular meeting in December. This is the second meeting where you'll take action, or normally we would do this with 2 consecutive regular meetings. We just did this last year when we added the Economic Development Subcommittee to the code, presented for information to you all in June, presented again for action in September. But because this is a change to the membership, and the membership occurs every year, and you all need to know who you're going to have on this board in January, we have a special meeting to determine if these changes are going to in fact happen, so you all know who you need to appoint for our meeting on January 23rd. Additionally, if there is a change to the code in Article 4 covers members of the board. That change has to be ratified by all the counties. That is the current process. Any other change is approved by a majority vote of the board and takes effect immediately. So here's the background about how these came about, to the best of my ability summarizing the Governance Committee discussions. It really starts back in February with a request from Geauga County to change their membership. Geauga County has 3 members on this board, listed specifically 3 county commissioners. They wanted to change one of those county commissioner seats to the county engineer. So following our process, that request that is a code revision because the members are specified in the code. So that was taken to the Governance Committee in February. The Governance Committee recommended it to the board. It was presented to the board, to you all in March for information, giving notice, and then came back again in June for vote. So that code change to Geauga County's membership was ultimately approved at the June meeting, but if you recall, there was a lot of discussion then about the composition of the board, the membership, and the process for changing the membership, and it was ultimately suggested that the Governance Committee should conduct a review of the current board membership, how it's made up, and how it can be changed. Because that was a change to membership within Article 4 of the code, it does require ratification by all counties. So that code change for Geauga's membership was approved, has been ratified by 3 counties, and is still pending with 2 others. So that brings us to August and the Governance Committee's regular meeting where they reviewed NOACA's board membership, how it's made up, the federal requirements, the state guidance, NOACA's own code regarding who should be on it, proportionality, And there was the discussion, generally, the consensus was that the process should be simplified so that the primary members of NOACA, the 5 counties in the city of Cleveland, have greater flexibility in choosing your representatives and potentially removing the requirement for ratification. So 2 special meetings of the governance committee were scheduled because there's a lot of information and process involved in that discussion. All right, so those 2 special meetings took place in September and October. In September, the governance committee reviewed the history of NOACA's current board and committee structure. So the current committee structure, subcommittees, councils we have was developed in 2013 through a strategic planning process. We went through that. We went through the history of the code changes. We were joined by Hunter Morrison, so I was glad I got to hear from him and his vast knowledge on NOACA formation. The focus was ultimately on the membership of NOACA, the representation of the counties and the city, and how to give greater control to the counties and the city about who they appoint to the board that best represents them. And the fact that there was concern over that those members having to be then ratified by all counties. At the meeting in October, there was discussion around the idea that if the board is going to change that list of members, which is pretty prescriptive, it spells out the specific positions, how can there be guidelines around that those positions have greater flexibility but still meet the needs of NOACA and what NOACA is and does? So ultimately, there were 2 motions that were passed. One to remove the requirement of ratification, and one to change the listing of NOACA's board of directors members so that some of those specific offices or positions were changed to an appointee, subject to clearer guidelines about what the qualification of somebody in that position could be. Those red line versions were taken back to the governance committee in November, and there was some further discussion and refinement. So rather than remove ratification entirely, the requirement of ratification was removed only for that section related to the list of members. And then there was some further clarification around what I'm calling qualifications for the membership and applying those to alternates as well. I'm going to basically repeat all this again if you didn't follow all that.
Uh-oh.
So,
Any questions so far? Anybody? Yeah, they said real quick. Okay, keep going.
okay. So that brings us to the 2 resolutions in front of you today. Resolution 2026-001 amends Article 9. Article 9 is regarding amendments to the Code of Regulations. It currently requires that if there's any change to Article 4 covers membership, mainly membership for the board, be ratified by all 5 counties. This adds language that creates an exception to ratification for the list of members' representatives in section 4.2. So that means that any change to this section would not require a ratification. It could be changed just by a majority vote. So here is what that looks like. This is the entire Article 9. It's a paragraph. The underlined portion is what is being added. So the second sentence is what we call ratification. However, any matters relating to Article 4 of this Code of Regulations shall be altered or amended or repealed only upon written approval of each county of the NOACA area. There was language added that creates an exception to that ratification, so removes the requirement for section 4.2 C through H, which is the listing of members, which I will show you shortly. So resolution 2026-002. This amends section 4.2 of the code, which is in Article 4. It changes members for Cuyahoga County government, Cleveland City Hall, Geauga County, and Medina County from specifically prescribed or spelled out elected or appointed positions to appointees of those positions. It also takes the current first paragraph of that section, which talks about apportionment and the goal of member representation, and just clarifies it by creating two distinct paragraphs, composition, where language was added regarding the qualifications of the members, and apportionment, which is the apportionment process that was adopted in 2020 regarding proportionality of board members. It then applies those member qualifications to alternates as well. So what does this look like? This is the current board of directors. This is what's currently listed in the code under section 4.2. As you can see, it mostly states a specific office or position for membership. So a county commissioner, a planning director, a county engineer. This is the proposed change. It changes some of those positions to an appointee. So it doesn't have to be the county commissioner. It is an appointee of the county commissioner. This applies to Cuyahoga County government. So there are 3 county executive appointees and a county council member. It applies to the Cuyahoga County suburban regions. So it pulls out the suburban regions and the specific suburban cities that are listed under Cuyahoga County right now. Those suburban regions are appointed by the county, would be appointed by the county executive. Changes the city of Cleveland's city hall appointments. The city of Cleveland has 8 representatives, 4 from city hall, 4 council members. Those 4 city hall administrative appointees, they change from the specific positions of planning director and capital projects director to appointee. Geauga County, Lake County, and Medina County all change from county commissioner or county engineer to county commissioner appointee. Lorraine counties remain the same. They didn't want, Lorraine County in the governance committee in November just chose not to change anything about their membership. State of Ohio and regional authorities all stay the same. What also is added, since those positions are no longer spelled out, guidance around who those appointees can be was added. So I'm gonna read this. I think it's the best way to explain it. All members of board of directors must hold an elected or appointed position in a political subdivision, government agency, or public body within the geographic area of the respective appointing authorities set forth in section 4.2 C through H. So that's that list of members you just saw. Board members who do not hold an elected position shall hold positions in areas concerned with transportation, environmental planning, land use planning, and economic development. Land use planning and economic development are also being added. It had previously, it is currently stated that the goal for membership is to bring together elected officials and experts of transportation and environmental planning, land use planning, and economic development planning are being added. It also applies these requirements to alternates explicitly. So if these changes are approved, what would happen? Any change to that membership list no longer would have to be ratified. It could be changed only by a majority vote of the board. We would still follow the process of notice at a first meeting, action at a second meeting, but ultimately, like any other amendment to the code, a majority vote would be all that was required to implement the change. The members for Cuyahoga County government, Cleveland City Hall, Geauga County, and Medina County would appoint members following their usual process. So we get a resolution from the counties that say, here are the members, NOACA, for the board for the year, but it would be within the new framework. So it wouldn't be predetermined that a county is naming their 2 or 3 commissioners necessarily. There's more latitude in who is being appointed. Other amendments to Article 4 would still require ratification, right? So ratification is still there. There's just a narrow exception for that list of members. And that would include the proposed changes regarding membership qualifications and and their application to alternates. There is no change to the overall membership structure or the number of members. That is not changing. Here's my best attempt to summarize everything I have just told you. We have 2 resolutions. They changed 2 parts of our code. I will go over this again if you want, but I'll leave this up for now. And what the current process is, what the current language states, what the proposed language is, and what that ultimately means. And so we don't have a recommended action at this time. We have the 2 resolutions in front of you. There's been a lot of deliberation. This was initiated by the board. This is ultimately up to you all, how you want to proceed with the Board of NOACA. So these, I will repeat again, the 2 resolutions in front of you, and then turn it over to our board president. Resolution 2026-001, which amends Article 9 of the NOACA Code of Regulations to create an exception to the ratification requirement of Article 4 for the list of members in Section 4.2. Resolution 2026-002, which amends Section 4.2 of the NOACA Code of Regulations regarding the list of members, representatives, and their qualifications. I'll go back to this. Everybody understands, right?
Yeah, we're clear as, you fill in the blank. I do want to, I guess, if this time is appropriate to start conversation, every few years, NOACA's board goes through, seems like a cycle like this where we're looking at governance, and that's why you're here today. Liz, try to pick up the highlights of summarizing the intent. There is divergence of opinion amongst counties, and I did want to respect Medina County's letter that came to us at NOACA January 7th with some opposing thoughts on this. And I didn't know if anybody from Medina County wanted to start a conversation or elaborate on what you wrote. I could read it if you like, but anybody? Okay. Seeing none. No, I got 2. I'm sorry. Go ahead, please, Thomas. I'll go down the line, or either one of you guys.
I don't have the letter in front of me,
Yeah.
but it's, oh, I do now.
Yeah.
So basically, it's a letter from the Board of Commissioners signed by all 3 of my commissioners stating that after review, they're not sure why we're asking to change Medina County. I'm not sure where in the process we consulted.
Yeah.
And why is it not being equal among the counties? Lorraine County's engineer is staying. I mean, the whole genesis of this started out is Geauga County wanted to have their engineer named, and now it's going 180 degrees where we're removing the people with the technical expertise, being whether it's the county engineers or director of public works. For an organization that is struggling with credibility in Medina County, this is just another nail in the coffin. This is supposed to be a transportation planning organization, and the people with the technical expertise that have been trained have delivered projects, and we're saying we don't want you anymore. We'd rather have political appointees. It seems really counterproductive. I'm not sure. It seems like we're going after an answer for where there's no problem.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much for that. And Thomas Patrick.
Well, thank you, through the chair. I hadn't seen the letter, so if nothing else, if you wouldn't mind reading it.
Yeah, I'll try to be quick about it, but it's important. The Medina County Board of Commissioners is addressed to board president and CEO, Medina, by the 3 county commissioners of Medina County. The Medina County Board of Commissioners appreciates your December 12th memorandum regarding proposed revisions to NOACA's Code of Regulations, specifically Article 9 and Section 4.2 concerning board composition and alternate appointments. We recognize the intent to streamline processes and provide greater flexibility for member counties in designating representatives. After careful review and discussion with County Engineer Andy Conrad, we wish to express our concerns regarding the removal of the county engineer as a stipulated member of the NOACA board. Historically, NOACA has been primarily a transportation planning organization, and county engineers, elected officials with technical expertise, have played a critical role in ensuring informed decision-making on transportation and infrastructure matters. We believe this expertise remains essential to NOACA's mission and credibility. While we understand the desire for flexibility in appointments, we respectfully oppose those changes that diminish the guaranteed representation of county engineers. Transportation planning and related issues, including stormwater management and infrastructure development, are areas where the county engineer's perspective is indispensable. We urge NOACA to consider maintaining this representation as part of its governance structure. Since neither Commissioner Harrison nor Commissioner Hambley are able to attend this special meeting of the NOACA Governing Board today on January 9th, we hereby designate Bethany Dentler, Executive Director of the Medina County Economic Development Corporation, as the alternate representative of the Medina County Board of Commissioners. This submittal is intended to conform with requirements stipulated in Section 4.2K of the Code of Regulations. Thank you for your leadership and the opportunity to provide input on these important governance changes. We look forward to continuing collaboration with NOACA to advance transportation planning and regional development for the benefit of our communities. Signed, the 3 county commissioners from Medina County. And I don't know, Bethany, if you want to say anything further, and Thomas, if that helps. Yep.
Just as a representative of the county commissioners, I would concur with their finding that it is important to have the subject matter experts in, at the table when we're dealing with things like transportation planning. So, having the engineers in place on the board as a prescriptive, I think is very important.
Thank you. And again, to Liz or to Grace, or to Ryan, you went all the way back to the genesis. This was started in Geauga County, and I believe stated intent was to bring the engineer onto the enlistment of board of directors from Geauga. We hear Medina, we hear you. How to parse this out county by county, I think, is the art of the governance committee. And I don't know if we're there yet, but I'd hear more from Commissioner Beveridge.
Thank you. I was the one that made this motion and involved in the governance committee to address the concerns with Medina. Forgive me, I believe there is a representative from Medina County on the governance committee that was part of the discussion. So I don't want you to feel that conversations were had in a committee where a county or some representative of that county was not being informed of. I think, sir, you illustrated the point that each individual county can have different issues within the county, and this, I think, was an attempt to give that flexibility to the Board of Commissioners or the county executive or the mayor to be able to, from year to year, alter the folks that sit at the table. Yes, historically, as I understand it, the organization has dealt with transit and those type of issues and infrastructure issues. But as has been pointed out multiple times, the mission of this organization has gone beyond transit, and there are environmental issues and there are economic development issues, which this would allow the commissioners or the executive or the mayor to have the ability to potentially from year to year change what experts come to the table. And the way that Medina County handles their government and structure is different than the way that Geauga County may handle their government and structure, and is different than the way that Lake or Lorain or Cuyahoga. And so I don't know that this was an intent to remove anybody from the table. I think that it still gives the county commissioners to say, absolutely, if the engineers are an appropriate person to be at the table at this time, which I would say they are, then we have the ability to do that. But we have different engineers. We have, I think my utilities director, Andy Roethlisberger, is a rock star. But at this point, I have no ability to put him as an expert on this board because I have 3 county commissioners. I have our director of Latran, who's also a rock star, Ben, to be clear, and our county engineer. And so that flexibility from year to year was my intent and goal, along with giving the ability to those decision makers at each of those entities, the ability to have domain over their own counties where other counties do not have to ratify or weigh in or have an opinion in how we govern ourselves in our.
I'm trying as comments are coming in to simplify, but it's a dangerous thing to try to do. So bear with me. I'm going to continue to look to council and Grace. Again, the genesis came from Geauga relative to the engineer. I think, and I don't want to overstate this, I think Cuyahoga County and its representatives, mayors and others from Cuyahoga County and city of Cleveland, I don't want to say this too easily, but I don't think we have a dog, we don't have a dog in this hunt because we don't have elected engineers, at least at a county level or a city level. You may at municipal level. Speak up if you do, but I think this is a conversation between Lake Lorraine, Medina, and Geauga. And it kind of seems like it is, and Jeff, help out here as governance chair, we're appropriate, but it seems like the issue is appointing authority. Is it commissioners appointing, or is it by virtue of office, engineer as engineer? And council, do I have that somewhat right? Okay, so you guys are in a discussion, I think, between four counties about, do your commissioners appoint, or does the engineer somehow have it by virtue of office? And really appreciated the comments from Medina County in your letter. Thank you, Andy. Go ahead.
One thing to consider is, yes, 4 out of the 5 counties, the county engineer is an elected official. We are elected by the entire county.
Right.
For the transportation, planning. And by virtue of this, you're going to take away what the people of the county voted for.
And fair, really respect your point. Just the way it routed through governance seemed to arrive at a place where commissioners had appointing authority over an elected official that happened to also be the engineer. So this is the debate with you guys. I want to let it roll. That's why I said this wasn't going to be an easy meeting. Please, John.
John Gall, Lorraine County. Yes, back in October, I believe, was the date when things were moving towards having appointees. With Lorraine County in November, we did say that how we've had it in the past is really very representative of Lorraine County, with the townships, municipal representatives, the large cities of Lorraine at 75,000 population, Elyria 55,000. I mean, we are so balanced with what we have. So for the dog in the fight, I think we can sit out this one.
Okay,
and
we'll
the
count a
third
second
counties will
county
do
out.
that, okay?
Does, just a question, on the Lorraine County chart there to the right, county commissioner, and then in parentheses, county engineer. Maybe I shouldn't have even brought that up, but how does that meet out?
That works out very well. We've always, Rob Kleibers are currently the person that comes to these meetings, former president of NOACA. And so he's always been a great assistance to what we do and how we, move forward with transportation and stormwater and planning, as far as just all the subdivisions and whatnot that goes on, including sewers and what else.
Okay.
I mean, they're a great resource to have here, and I'm glad Rob's on the board here.
All right, well, if your colleagues agree, that takes Lorraine County out of the hunt. But now we're down to Medina, Geauga, and I don't mean to make it so simple. Yeah, okay, fair enough, Thomas. Go on, who's got a point? Bethany?
From Medina County's perspective, if we wanted to change the language in the resolution, maybe I'm skipping ahead to the second one, to instead of just having the commissioner appointee, to change it back to county engineer, would that have to go back to the governance committee, or is it something that we could do here today?
I'll go to council on that.
Could make a motion today to amend the language of the resolution to reflect the seats that Medina County would like. That would be subject to, the motion to amend would be subject to an up and down vote of this board.
That would be potentially today, or would that be remanded?
That would be potentially today. Now, whether the membership here decided that they want to take the larger issue back to governance committee that would be a separate issue.
Okay.
than Medina County amending today's resolution to reflect whatever seating it is that they would like it to reflect. That would be subject to a board vote.
And we expected some revision today, either on the floor or back at committee, but go on. Anybody, Thomas?
Thank you, Mr. President. Can you go to the final slide again, please? Because unless I'm misunderstanding, Lorraine may have a little dog in the fight. The proposed change on the First Amendment there, where ratification is removed and it's only to a majority vote. Could the board theoretically remove representatives from counties?
It's a good point. Councilwoman House, did you want to comment on that? Yeah, go ahead, any of you.
Technically, yes.
I've got a
I'm
big
like,
issue with
that should be no.
Yeah.
Because in Lorraine County, I mean, our commissioners do care about NOAC. It's just they
Yeah.
have a meeting scheduled for
Yeah.
Fridays. So ratification still allows things to go in front of our county government. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's one, and that's important. Two, I don't like the fact that the board could theoretically remove a representative
By
that they
majority vote.
may have an issue with.
Yeah.
By majority vote.
Yeah,
because
by a majority, right.
historically, NOAC has been very one-way leaning.
Yeah, and I was slightly kidding about dog in the hunt, dog in the fight, because we all care about this governance regardless of which counties we represent. But we knew this was going to go here in terms of some healthy tension and potentially some revision. So I don't know if there's other comments. Please, Mary, Director Serby.
I guess just a question to Medina, if who was on the governance conversations, if this is not what you guys want? Like, who is part of the governance conversations for Medina County?
No, I am, trustee Brandon down here. And I just wanted to say, it was never the intention of the governance committee to eliminate the county engineers, for seating on this board. That was certainly never my intention. I could see some value in Commissioner Beveridge's desire to have some flexibility, but I never envisioned that Medina County would ever change the structure, because I think, it's certainly not broken, and, why fix something that's not broken? So it's my 2 cents.
Let me go to Mayor Bobson, back to you, Mr. Conrad.
Just a quick question that's related to something that was just said. So who determines if a non-elected, non-appointed person is selected to serve on the board? Who determines that their qualifications meets the revised?
And we hear that question, let's try to answer that. Point of information though, related to the question, this change with respect to non-appointed persons eliminates that that aspect of it. But let me go ahead and
So
answer the
the
question.
change in the language to provide more criteria for the appointing of the members was started out as my request for that same language around the alternates and the board members, because sometimes when members came into NOACA, when they were spelled out as the member, that was pretty easy to define. When they came in as the alternate, it was not always as easy to define. And we did have difficulty with that. And legal counsel often had to get engaged. So this was an attempt to try and clarify that and bring more guardrails to it. That being said, now that the change goes to appointees, it does open up more of the positions to that level of scrutiny that legal would have to take.
And just a clarification, I'm going to go to you, Mr. Conrad. Was that helpful, Mayor Bobst, or not? Okay. Just a question on the point relative to the word appointees definitionally to council. Is that word that this is an appointee of an elected official as appointed in their county, or is it an appointed position that is standalone definitionally an appointee? What is the definition of appointee as it relates to this change?
Right here.
Where here?
All members of the Board of Directors must hold an elected or appointed position in a political subdivision, government agency, or public body within the geographic area of the respective appointing authorities set forth in section 4.2C through H. Board members who do not hold an elected position shall hold positions in areas concerned with transportation, environmental planning, land use planning, and economic development.
Well, I don't want to belabor this because I don't think this is the meat of the debate, but is an appointed position, meaning, for instance, the mayor appoints a planning director and therefore they are an appointed person, or is it that the mayor appoints a person to the board? Is it by virtue of their position, they're appointed within their city or within their county, or is it the appointee to the board?
I believe the intent to be the former and not the latter, because if it was the
Okay.
appointment to the board, then that
Okay.
would just be discretion.
And then you added, through governance, you added subject area expertise like transportation, environmental planning, land use, and economic, to tighten that up?
Right.
Okay, let me go to Mr. Conrad.
To the point of Mr. Beveridge saying that you're concerned about having subject matter experts at your disposal year to year. That's what your alternates can be. Just last year, we were weighing some different things, economic development. I had Bethany as my alternate last year for the simple fact that she was more appropriate as an alternate than having another engineer. So I meant within the framework, that's possible.
Yeah, and I think you're going to be addressing in all this a common thread, which is the issue of electeds or non-electeds. And in majority of counties, the engineer is elected, by the way. So we'll keep going. Councilman Slife.
Going back to the beginning, I guess where I'm a little confused. So Geauga County requested that the engineer be eligible for this board. That was passed, but hasn't been ratified. Why fully ratified? Why has that not been ratified? I guess this seems like the easy solution is just to ratify that, and we went down this rabbit hole of this conversation when really it just seems two counties need to ratify to honor Geauga County's request.
Anyone on that?
Yeah, that would be correct. Medina County and Lake County did not ratify, and I cannot speak to the reasons why they did not ratify. Perhaps they can.
Okay, Mr. Claypool from Geauga County. Anybody from Lake and Medina want to speak to the question? Let me go then to Mr. Claypool.
A couple of points of clarification. First of all, our county engineer in Geauga County has always been able to be on the board. When I was a county commissioner, I appointed the county engineer as my alternate whenever we needed the county engineer at the table, because a lot of the discussions around here don't have to do with technical issues relative to engineering and so forth. We have economic development and so on and so forth. So the county engineers always had the ability. This is not a county engineer issue. This is a political issue in Geauga County. That's why it was brought up. Secondly, the question did not come from the county commissioners in Geauga County. It came through individuals from Geauga County. And so there was never a vote on the board to send this question to NOACA. Let's be clear about that. And I'm going to speak to the ring counties for just a second. I want you to look at the history of NOACA. At one time, in the very beginning, there were 3 commissioners from every county. That's how this started, with 7 counties. And over time, through various devices, we've come to a supermajority where Cuyahoga County and Cleveland have now complete control over the board. This particular motion removes one of the last guardrails to having any protection for the ring communities, for the ring counties. And so making this change really degrades the ring county's ability to have any finality or final say over where things, how things are evolve. I mean, right now we have a supermajority in Cleveland, Cuyahoga County, and that is an issue for the ring counties. And so I just wanted to point that out. And then I have a question for council, if you don't mind.
And Mr. Claypool, I think Ms. Galucci wants to make a comment.
Just to ensure that I state the correct membership structure, in 1968, when NOACA was formed, each county, and there were 7 of them at the time, did have 3 county commissioners, but they also had 3 other members that were county engineers, mayors, and other representatives with technical expertise. Those were to be chosen amongst themselves, and the county commissioners chose their, well, they didn't have a choice. They were the representatives, but could choose alternates. But they were separate, and there were 6 members from each county.
And just, we can come back to you if you need me or others. I do want to state, because I think it's important in consideration of the members of Cuyahoga County and City of Cleveland that are here. I don't believe any elected official from Cuyahoga County or the City of Cleveland advanced this idea. I don't think,
No, I
we're
don't
all
think
trying to
that's-
get along. I
yeah,
just
don't
want to
believe
make
that's
sure
true
that.
either. I don't think I said that.
No, it just, as you're referencing safeguards, I don't think, that's why I was kind of making the point about the dog and the hunt. I don't think this has been a discussion between starting at Geauga and as it was not ratified by Medina and Lake. It's really a discussion between you three, and as Lorraine has a couple of points of view, but yeah.
I do have a technical question,
Thanks.
a legal technical question, so I'm.
There, if you can just speak to the mic so everybody can hear you.
So if I read the Article 10, and I'm going to read the language very slowly and clearly, and so our council can address this. It says, "The Code of Regulations may be altered, amended, or repealed only by the majority vote of the Board of Directors. However, any matters relating to Article 4 of this Code of Regulation, except Section 4.2 through H, shall be altered and amended only upon written approval of each county." So this change to Article 10 is a change to a matter relating to Article 4. So in essence, that would have to be ratified by all 5 counties. And so changing Article 10, the way that I read it, is, and I'm not an attorney, but I can certainly reach out to a couple to get some interpretations.
And just a point of
uh,
clarification, do you mean Article 9?
I'm sorry, Article 9, I'm sorry. I said Article 10, Article 9. So the way I read Article 9, if this in fact passes today, it should go through a ratification process of the 5 counties because it relates to Article 4. So do you have an opinion or a thought on that?
So I don't read it quite as broadly as you do. I think that the language there is ambiguous, and I read the related to.
Everybody hear Ryan?
Sorry, yeah, can you hear me okay? I
phone
read
rather
the,
than-
yeah, I read that provision, that language is ambiguous in my mind. The way that I read it is that it's setting forth that an amendment to the language of Article 4 requires ratification by the counties. Now, I think that, if it meant what you're putting forward, Mr. Claypool, I think the way to phrase it would have been to say an amendment to Article 9 needs to be ratified by the counties, or to have put language in Article 4 that said, notwithstanding any other provision of this code, an amendment to any piece of Article 4 requires ratification by all the counties. I would concede to you that I think the language is ambiguous, and I think this body interprets the language of its own code. My reading of that language is that it requires ratification for a change to Article 4 and not for a change in the language to Article 9.
That clearly is an argument, but I think you might concede that another argument might be made that the language, any matters, and unfortunately, whoever phrased it in an ambiguous way, I'll give you that. Any matters relating to Article 4 of this Code of Regulation has to be ratified. And clearly a change to Article 9 is relating to Article 4. And so, and the intent, if you have to go back to the intent is to ensure that there's a guardrail for, the minority counties to be able to have some protection on membership, because membership is everything. It's all about the votes. It's all about, where things can be decided and so on and so forth. So the intent is to protect the minority counties in this situation. And I will, reach out to the ring counties and say, look, if this change passes, your individual commissioners will not have the ability, as individuals who were elected as individuals by their constituencies, to have a representative possibly on this board. And they won't have a choice on picking their member. The member is going to be by script. And so the script is, you can only have an elected official, they can only have an appointed position. So in essence, you're degrading the ability of individual county commissioners who are elected by their constituents to represent their interest. You're limiting their interest. And so please think about that as you're going through this vote, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Claypool. Director Mersman.
I'd just like to offer a point to clarify the recommendation in front of us and what is actually changing, because there are changes in the letters of sections in 4.2 as part of this. This recommendation does not change the number of votes or membership count or calculation of membership across our jurisdictional composition. That stays the same, and any change to that would still require ratification under this proposal. Is that correct?
Go ahead.
It does, and in fact, the changes that are being recommended today, or that are included, I shouldn't say recommended, that are included today will have to be ratified because they're outside of that membership listing. So there is a component of what's in front of you today that does have to be ratified, and a component in front of you that if the Article 9 item passes would not need to be ratified with the interpretation just given by legal counsel.
I think.
So yes.
Go ahead, Director Mersman.
Thank you. I just want to further clarify or offer to all of us board members to affirm that our shared goal here today and that of the governance committee in navigating through this is to allow any local jurisdiction more local say over who is appointed to the board and not having that prescribed in the Code of Regulations, so that the elected officials that are listed in the proposed changes have total appointment control and authority over who they appoint or control. Understanding that there's this question of pure majority board vote, which I think we can maybe parse through with amendment or language, but I just think having clarity around that goal is important to address some of your concerns, Mr. Claypool, and help us with amendment language.
To that, I will also add that because we are asking for this by in order to impact the 2026 seating of the board on January 23rd, the ratification of that criteria for members will not come in until after that, if it comes in at all. So there is a possibility that the counties would not ratify the criteria, and yet now we've just changed the membership for more flexibility. So we have to assume that the goal is the shared goal and that people will be acting on an honor system.
And that, I was going to ask, how do we get to the 23rd if we can't get through today? It seems to me a number of issues are on the table that are separate but related. The initial issue we discussed was the engineer. In the cases of the four counties adjacent Cuyahoga, engineers are in parity with commissioners in terms of elected authority, I guess you could say. There's that question of who's the appointing authority over whom. That's one that's outstanding. The last point that Director Mersman made, I don't think we are changing compositionally in terms of numbers of seats, but there is a discussion about the who within those numbers. And this is complex. So any further questions? Want to go to council also and say, is there any suggested revision language that from this, can you find a pattern in the chaos? And I'll just use that as a filler unless others have questions. I'm sorry, Mr. Morrow, Mayor.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Question is, since Geauga County brought us all here, I got a question, a hypothetical or an example. They have 3 commissioners that are there only, I guess, and you've got a lot of territory. I know it's based on population, but again, they've got a lot of land mass too. So I can understand their initial, they wanted to add an engineer to this. Okay, I think that's where it all started. And again, keep the 3 commissioners there. But at one point, I'm guessing they wanted to then take and replace one of the commissioners for the engineer because we only had 3 seats. So of course, and then we're at the point now where we have this. Now, in the case of like, for example, with this new, if we do this amendment, how would this work out with those 3 county commissioners? Who would choose their alternates now? Would it be those 3 commissioners would have to vote and agree, and then the 2 out of 3 would ultimately pick those 3 alternates, or would they still be able to pick their own alternate, okay, as being separate, you know, the way it is, I guess, today? That's a question I have to ask, if there's going to be any change in that.
I don't know if any members of Geauga County want to speak, or Council or Grace want to speak to that. But
I believe
we
the
understand the
change
question.
does not impact the ability of the individual member to select an alternate. A majority of a county board would select the appointee, the member, but then the member would select their alternate.
Do you want to, anything on that? I understand what you're saying. It seems that, and Giaga, please speak up here if you like. It seems that the county commissioners, if the addition of the engineer happens, then the county commissioners, because you have three, those three vote on who the two commissioners will be, and then each of those commissioners decide who their alternate will be, as does the engineer, at least as this thing's written. Is that right, commissioners from Geauga County? Okay.
So, do you mind? Okay.
Open
So, if
forum,
you
let's
don't
go.
mind, I want everybody to listen to what was just said. There are three the original intent of this metropolitan planning organization, all the other stuff, we're not supposed, it's ancillary. We're supposed to be a metropolitan planning organization. The original intent was for 3 county commissioners, and the reason for that is
And
because they
three-
represent,
3 others.
okay, and the mayor from Cleveland and HUD in the original document. I have the original document. Anyway, the intent was to have the representatives to at least 75% of the population of the area involved. And so it's 3 county commissioners, basically. And so because they represent, they're elected by their constituency to represent the interest of the people in that county. If 2 commissioners get to take 1 commissioner off the table, and politically, that can be, I mean, that's I think, a real problem when you can have 2 commissioners take a 3rd commissioner out of the picture. Because now you're getting very muddy, you're getting very political. It's not pure anymore in terms of representation. You should have the 3 original county commissioners, they were elected to have balance. And so that balance then comes to this board, but you're screwing up that balance that is the intent of the political structures that were created. And I think that's a very big risk and something this board really should consider very carefully. Because there's all this political angst that gets created. Sometimes Democrats get elected, sometimes Republicans get elected, sometimes Republicans who don't agree get elected. They should be able to bring their differing viewpoints to this board because that represents the interests of the county. And this will change that equation, and I'm fearful of that. It screws up the sovereignty of the political system, and I'm fearful of that.
Liz, would you bring back up the composition slide? Just again, to underscore one point that I didn't want to get confused.
Current or proposed?
The proposed. To state again, maybe redundantly, this is not about change in numbers. This is about change within counties, about composition, and it was, discussion began at Geauga County. And I think what you have between Mr. Claypool and the commissioners is an intra-Geauga County discussion, which continue to discuss. I think as us at large, we get to this issue of ratification where, if I'm not mistaken, Trustee Brandon, the governance committee decided that ratification should, at least recommended, I should say, that ratification should happen as individual counties over their own domain. Whereas before we had 5 counties ratifying each other's counties. Do I have that right so far? No? One of the things that happened, you have a discussion that started at Geauga County relative to within the framework of the number that they have, which is 3, how were they going to go about the matter of, they wanted to change. They wanted their engineer, that was the stated purpose. We arrived at that through governance. And then the subsequent discussion was about the ratification process, where it was discussed at governance, I believe, that why not let counties individually ratify their own domain, if you will, rather than the domain across the board of the 5 counties. Do I have that right? Okay. I think the effort has been to give counties domain over their appointing process and exclusive ratification of their own appointing process. The infights, folks, between counties, I leave that to you. I mean, doesn't that happen every day at a commission with 3 commissioners on any issue at the table? I'm just as removed by 2. So, I mean, not in numbers, in office. Commissioner Brackey.
Yeah, so I'm from Geauga County, just to be clear. So just to be clear about the intent of this, that this is not about politics. This is just about adding our engineer. It would be my pleasure, if this passes today, to remove myself from this board and be the odd man out, so long as I can act as an alternate.
Thank you, Commissioner Brackey. Anybody else who hasn't spoken? Alan, thank you.
Thank you. Unfortunately, I'm not part of the governance board, and I wasn't able to be here in December to have some of the discussion. Not necessarily in contradiction to my commissioner, Mr. Beveridge, at the end of the table. But I'm hearing several things here today that, number one being that we don't want to take the elected officials out of the mix of what's going on. But the intent of this is obviously to remove county engineers, which are elected at the various counties other than Cuyahoga, necessarily from being in the mix. It takes that opportunity necessarily away. 45 years of experience in engineering. I think everybody has to consider, yeah, you do have a dog in this fight, because that's where you're getting your information from. That's where you're getting your input from. That's where you need expertise at this table. And you need, the engineers need the governance information coming back to us to understand where the communities are coming from. That interaction, I think, is extremely important. And I don't think we want to lose that. The other thing I'm hearing are words like ambiguous. I'm hearing, need for input on critical issues where we need to accomplish those things. And I'm also hearing that what we're discussing here today doesn't meet the original intent, what started the whole process to begin with. Those things raise some concerns with me with what we're doing right now.
Thank you, Mr. Exley. It's probably a good point in time to thank every engineer and transportation specialist around this table. We do need your your expertise. Mr. Capelli.
I just wanted to add the perspective of one of the people that is not an elected official. And I think that, my position on this board was, changed a long time ago to be here. But I think that if there was a time that I wasn't doing my job, in the opinion of the commissioners, that they should be able to change me out for someone else. They don't have, they appoint my board, but they don't have immediate authority to tell me what to do in theory. Now, obviously, I want to work well with them and do what they ask. But if there was a time that a person in my shoes was not doing that, I do think it's appropriate that the commissioners could replace me with someone that is.
Thank you for that comment, Mr. Capelli. And Mr. Caselli, Mayor Castelli.
Thank you. And really, this question is maybe I'm the only one that is having a hard time following this a little bit. but- So I just want to understand based on, so this is the proposed moving forward. And I'm just looking at Geauga County and it has the 3 commissioners and their appointee, correct?
3 commissioner appointees.
Okay, that's what I wanted. So it's 3 commissioner appointees.
Currently, it's county commissioner, that's in the white. The light blue appointee, that's the new language. So it will now say county commissioner appointee as opposed to just county commissioner. So the county commissioners, all 3 of them.
Will have the ability to either be on the board or appoint somebody.
Correct.
That's, okay, I understand. Thank you. I'm sorry for clarification. Or 2 commissioners could create the alternate 3rd seat as an appointee.
However your county chooses. to
Exactly.
do-
So right
yeah.
now, it's 3, just to be clear, it's 3 commissioners who can choose an alternate, and the alternate can be anybody they want to choose. In this model, it'll be 2 commissioners possibly, and somebody they pick to replace the 3rd commissioner, and/or let's say that there's 3 commissioners, the 3 commissioners alternates can only be people of a specific skill set, type, whatever. And so may not represent the interest of that commissioner because he's limited on who he can choose. So this is a lot of limitations on there. And by the way, just to reinforce a point, today, the county commissioners in Geauga County could appoint the county engineer, as we've done traditionally for a lot of time. So this is not about the county engineer being at the table, because he's always been being able to be at the table. From the beginning, it made sense. When the county engineers, years ago, before Grace got here, when the county engineers used to get in the room, look at all the projects, divvy up the project money, and take a look and see what was shovel-ready and so forth, and that's how the projects got selected. There was a change in that process. There was a change to how NOACA operated in terms of it wasn't an MPO anymore. It's got economic development, it's doing climate change, it's doing land use planning, it's doing a lot of things that are outside of the traditional view of an MPO. And so therefore, in some of those cases, the county engineer probably doesn't have interest. I don't know how much interest you have in climate change, and or have the skill set to be able to discuss it. So things have changed so much in relative to how NOACA operates, that the whole concept of a county engineer being at the table, which I believe strongly every county should have 3 commissioners and the county engineer at the table. That should be the starting point.
Mr.
But
Claypool,
anyway,
again,
that's it.
for reference on history, NOACA in 1968 was not created as an MPO. It was created, you know this, I've sent you the documents. It was created to carry out municipal planning regional planning under the metropolitan legislation that came out of Washington. So the purview was many things, not just transportation, and in fact was more other things, which was evidenced by the requirement of HUD to be a board member.
Let me go to Mayor Eli's question.
Thank you. Last year, this was brought up in Lorraine County, and we talked about it. And I had asked to let this go back, let these counties do what they do, bring their representatives to us. It looks like Geauga County did so. Am I correct? That Geauga County decided what they wanted, whether it was 2 commissioners against 1, is irrelevant. Lorraine County said they're going to stay the same. Cleveland made some changes. That's what we did. We're here in 2026. It's not 1968 anymore. And with that, I call the question.
Okay,
There's no motion. at the
we don't
moment.
have an actual action.
So sorry.
Sorry,
Right, we
no,
need to
I knew you were
make
trying
that
to.
motion at this time.
Well, let me procedurally seek Councilman Roberts' rules here.
See if there's a second for the motion. I mean, if there's a second for the motion, that would still, it would open it up to discussion and we could carry
Okay.
this dialogue.
I have a motion.
What
I
is the
want it
motion?
to be
Open
clearly,
up discussion?
I want it to be clearly, I want your motion to be, as best you can, articulate your motion.
That we pass both of these, what do we do? Have to do both at the same time, or do we do them one at a time?
Yep.
They have to be separate.
Okay.
Separate resolutions. So go ahead, Mayor Eli.
Then I'll make the motion on 001.
Okay, that motion has been made. I did hear a second, but where did I hear it? From Mr. Nani. I'm sorry, from Councilman Casey. I have a second from Councilman Casey. So we go to discussion.
Discussion.
Please,
discussion.
let me start down with Mr. Kleiber and I'll work my way back.
Usually don't ask many questions here, Chris, but this one actually concerns me more. Is like we said, if the counties don't have to ratify, say a group of this board members decide they don't want you on the board anymore, would the board actually be able to remove the county executive by just a vote? I think Mr. Gonzalez said yes, they
Yeah,
could.
the answer to that question is yes. Now,
I find that concerning. personally.
Thank you, Mr. Kleiber. I guess hypothetically I would too. No, I'm just kidding. I get you. Thank you. Mr. Gall.
Yes, I do as well. And I believe we got more work to do on this. I
Okay.
think this should go back to governance board. I don't think we've, thank you for being here, Cuyahoga and Cleveland. I think we need to be more ready, prepared, and have all these questions answered, ready to go for another meeting. We don't have to rush into anything. We've done this in the past, rushing, and it does not work out well. So I would, hopefully we can do something with this motion and then go back and I'll make a motion to.
Hold on. I think we have to,
if the motion is to refer the matter back to the governance committee, there'd have to be a motion and a second, and then a discussion on that motion to recommit it. In other words, to send it back to committee.
but there's a motion on the floor though.
Yeah, but now there's a motion to send it back to committee.
So what happens to the, thank you,
If it-
Councilwoman House Jones.
If it gets sent back to committee, that it would just carry forward to the next time the governance committee wants to bring it, presumably at the meeting in January.
Go forth. Yep. Hit the mic if you could.
Still a current motion on the floor, so there's an action that needs to
Yeah,
be
that-
taken, the current motion.
That matter would be referred to committee to be taken up the next time the committee presents it to the board.
Sorry, if I may, I believe Mayor Lai made a motion to approve the resolution.
Right.
A motion to recommit is a subsidiary motion that can be made with a pending main motion.
Within the motion. Okay. So what we have now is a motion by Mayor Alai. We have a second by Councilman Casey. We have a motion from that motion from Mr. Gall. And that's been seconded by Mayor Bradley. You two are sitting next to each other, so you probably know what each other is talking about, but can you at least re-articulate your motion, Mr. Gall? That Mr. Bradley, Mayor Bradley seconded?
Motion would be to send this resolution here, the 4142, back to the governance committee for reconsideration.
Okay, and we have a second from Mayor Bradley. Question to council, when do we take a vote on which, or do we continue discussion on both? And we have a Councilwoman House Jones with a question.
His motion was about 001, not 002.
Did you mean 00?
We'll go 001. We'll do one.
You meant 001, so both are
Well, I
referred to
think-
001. Any counselor?
The discussion now would be on the motion to recommit to the governance committee, and there'd be a vote on that.
Okay, questions on, articulate which one you're referring to and then go, or maybe both, I guess.
Discussion on the motion to send back to governance committee, just to put a fine point on the items that we're requesting them to take a look at.
Yeah.
Which I believe are number one, each individual jurisdiction to affirm their desired language for their membership. And number two, to resolve the issue of the full board being able to take action that is against the desire of any individual jurisdiction, which could potentially be addressed with language that requires initiation of that amendment to come directly from the jurisdiction impacted.
So we have language actually created already, an amendment that could be introduced to accomplish that. But again, it has not yet been discussed at this meeting.
Is that something you want to share or no? Otherwise, I've got questions pending I can come back to.
Well, I'm happy to share some language, but I think the matter right now before the board is whether they want to send it back to governance.
Okay, let me ask, I've got Mr. Commissioner Beveridge.
Thank you, sir. With specific regards to this motion of sending it back to governance, one, we've come up with language for the concern of whether the majority of the board would be able to somehow change any of the composition issues. And that is that, and I'll let the legal experts read this off if necessary, to the extent that any change is made that would affect an individual county or jurisdiction, whether it be the city of Cleveland or Cuyahoga County, then that specific entity would have to ratify, not all 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 counties, that specific entity would have to ratify any change to their domain, first of all. Second of all, one of the criticisms, not necessarily from myself, is that this board is a bunch of bureaucrats. And we have discussed in governance committee 2, 3, 4 times. This has been brought up 6, 7 months ago. We have worked to try and give the individual counties the flexibility. All of the points, I understand the concerns with the engineers. I disagree respectfully with my colleague, Mr. Claypool, that this is removing any guardrails or protections. We still have 5 county ratification for all of that. With that comment, I don't think it's appropriate for us to send this back to the governance committee. I've sat through the hours and hours and hours and hours of meetings to try to come to this place, and so I would disagree with that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Beveridge. Bethany.
Before I would be comfortable in voting to send it back to committee, I'd like to hear what the attorney has come up with for alternate language for a potential solution without sending it back to the committee.
Thank you, Bethany. Ryan, use your mic if you could, please.
It is along the lines of what Commissioner Beveridge just set forward. Look, one potential way to address this issue, let me read this off and kind of follow me around the room here, would be to say that, sure. Just finding the right language. The code shall be altered, amended, or repealed only upon written approval of each county of the NOACA area. except that sections 4.2C through 4.2H can be altered, amended, or repealed upon written approval of only the county, municipality, authority, or agency directly impacted by the alteration, amendment, or repeal. Now, that incorporates some of the other language that's in Article 9. I could read the whole thing off for you if you like. So it would still go through the reading at this board, reading at this body, second reading and an up and down vote, but would require approval by the county, municipality, authority, or agency, whether that came before or after. Essentially, it would require ratification by the entity impacted.
Any questions to Mr. Gambale on his suggested revision? Mayor Bradley.
Yeah, I like that revision because Lorraine County has decided to stay with the composition that we previously had or that we do have now, and we want to be able to maintain that. And if the county wants to change it, that should be a county decision, not a decision of the majority of this board. So if that language is adopted, then I don't see any reason to send it back to committee.
Thank you, Mayor Bradley. Others? Anybody? Commissioner Dvorak.
And with that explanation, would that help and cure Medina County's concerns?
I guess I'm not crystal clear. I'm not sure why there's language prepared that wasn't given to us to begin with.
I can speak to that a little. Mr. Conrad,
Just
go
a
ahead.
second, but still the question that was raised is, I still have the concern that a majority could remove a specific member, not necessarily what we're talking about as far as the composition of but that doesn't address that. That is where the concern is.
And I think maybe Ryan can speak to why he had some prepared revision, but I believe it had to do with the anticipation of confusion.
Yeah, I thought this might happen, and so tried to put something together so I could speak to it if it became an issue today. It's something that I put together this morning, so I would have it so that we could further some discussion at this level. I think look, the option is to take the motion up now. I understand, I've heard that there's an interest in making an amendment, at least on the Medina County side. There's the language that I just put forward, or there's the motion to send the matter back to committee, and I understand Commissioner Beveridge's position on that, and also Mr. Gall's and Mayor Bradley's. So the language was an attempt to try to have something to help facilitate discussion.
And I think I heard, I don't want to, if Lorraine County, I've heard that there was some appreciation for that language change. Mayor Lai, did you have another comment? Yeah, okay, Mayor Mara.
Yeah, I had a question before, if it's gonna go back to committee. I think it needs to be clarified, I guess, for like Jaga County, their appointee, okay? Is that appointed by the specific commissioner individually, or is that a vote by the commissioners collectively, where you need 2 out of the 3 commissioners, where pretty much 2 out of the 3 can kick out the choice of the third?
It's a good question. One more time, Counselor Grace.
The way, I can just tell you how it is operated at NOACA. Every year, we get language that is approved by the boards of the county commissioners telling us who is representing them, because in some cases, they've already given a seat away to the engineer, so they need to appoint only 2 out of the 3 commissioners. So we get that language from the county boards. Our document does not say that explicitly. So it is another point of a question, I suppose.
Could it happen then? That's what my question, I mean, will this, right now, that cannot happen because, again, the commissioners are on the board, okay? Those 3, and they have an alternates, they can appoint engineers, anyone they want, pretty much the way it is now, okay? So really, nothing's broken at this point. So what I'm asking is that will that be allowed to happen? Can that happen where 2 out of the 3 commissioners could pretty much get rid of that third commissioner's choice? That's all I'm asking. That,
Okay.
Will this do that? And again, my motion, I want to make a motion to table this because we are nowhere near ready to even vote on this, okay? Or even close to it. And it shouldn't really bring everyone here for this. This should have been handled a lot earlier.
Mr. Chair.
So,
Let me just ask a point of information relative to the last 2 things you said about
Well, the table, look, for right now, we've got a motion to
We have two
recommit to
motions.
the governance committee. So I think that would need to be addressed before we could entertain a motion to table.
That
I
was the
think
second motion.
In terms of the, maybe some of the intent of the language, I don't know if it makes sense to ask Commissioner Beveridge as the author.
Yeah,
First, I'd like to call to question the second motion that's been made to bring this back to
Mhm.
governance committee.
let me go to council again. I think the motioner, I would just want to ask you the question about, if I'm not out of line, Commissioner, your review of council's revision.
I agree with the counselor's revision.
Okay.
And I believe that could be the verbiage necessary to move forward
okay.
today.
Okay.
And so, but now we have the question, so.
Okay, I just needed that point of clarification, but you're calling the question is calling it on to as
Unless he would
stated.
like to remove his motion.
Please, Mr. Gall.
Would it be better to amend or, no, to remove my motion to go to, return back to governance committee? If I do that, then we're back to the first question. So, with the assurance of this group and this body that we're going to take the counselor's amendment, then certainly I would remove my motion
Okay.
to return back to.
Okay, Mr. Gall and Ms. Beveridge, before we go there, I want to ask the first motioner, I think that's Mayor Lai, where you're at on this.
Yeah, he's going to amend, we'll make that amendment to the
Oh,
motion.
in the mic if you can. One of you, go ahead, Mayor DeGeeter.
So for the original Ally amendment, I would make a motion to amend that to incorporate legal counsel's language that he read into the record.
Okay, so the second motion's been withdrawn. The first motion amends to include the revisions as per council. Mr.
Second.
Beveridge. Mr.
Second.
Beveridge is, now, does the original seconder have to second? Are we good? We've got a second proffered here. You need to know who the motion is? Right, we're about to get there, but yeah, it's Mayor Lai's motion as amended by Mayor DeGeeter and seconded by Mayor DeGeeter, or seconded by Commissioner Beveridge. Did you second that?
Whatever you need me for, sir.
No, yeah, okay, so we've got a second. Brenda, you be the judge as to who seconded. No, in all seriousness, Commissioner Beveridge seconded that. Okay, I have a motion with a revision to the original motion, so it's a new motion with revision, and I have a second. I will now take further discussion.
Question.
And
I'm sorry.
Seeing none?
This amendment to the amendment to 001, but weren't your amendments to 002 or 001? Because isn't 001 about majority versus the 2/3 votes, correct? That's what.
That's an important distinction.
His amendments were 002, right?
My amendment was to Article 9, was 001.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, I have a motion, second clarification, and I have another question, Mayor Morrow. Or
Not ready.
comment.
I make a motion to table.
Okay, there's been a motion to table, council.
There's a motion to table that would go to immediate vote.
To immediate vote, is that a roll call, Brenda?
Does it need a second?
Does it
believe
need a
was-
second?
I believe it was seconded by Mr. Clay.
It was seconded by Mr. Claypool.
I think, given where we're at, I think a roll call.
Okay, council's suggesting a roll call for the motion to table. Please, Brenda, call the roll.
Skip Claypool.
Yes.
Can everyone speak directly into the mic, please?
Yes.
John Gall,
No.
Mayor Mara,
Yes.
Thomas Patrick,
Yes.
Mayor Fiala,
No.
Joseph Nanny,
No.
Nicole English,
Yes.
Bob Kleiber, Tom Jordan,
No.
Mayor Alai. Commissioner Beveridge,
Nay.
Justin Bibb,
No.
Mayor Blackwell,
No.
Mayor Bradley,
No.
Commissioner Brackey,
No.
Jeff Brandon,
No.
Mayor Brubaker,
No.
Ben Capel, Mayor Costelli, Mary Serby,
No.
Andy Conrad, Trustee Cunningham, Mayor DeGeeter. No. James DeRosa,
No.
Kyle Dreyfus Wells,
No.
Commissioner Dvorak,
No.
Alan Exley. Mayor Holsheimer Gill,
No.
Mayor George, Bethany Dentler,
Yes.
Councilwoman House Jones,
No.
Councilman Casey,
No.
Callie Merseman,
No.
Matt Moss,
No.
Mayor Petrus,
No.
Chris Ronayne,
No.
Councilman Slife. Did I miss anyone?
Nobody missed. Go
Okay,
ahead.
so, I have 8 yes votes and 29 no votes.
Oh,
29.
Okay, with 29 no votes, the motion to table fails.
Chair, I make a motion to call the vote on the proposed motion that we have.
We have a motion, we have a second on the first proposal. Anything wrong with calling the question on that, council?
No, I think, do we want to read the, can I read?
Read
Yes.
the full amendment if you
Can
can.
you just give me 2 minutes? I'm trying to write it out by hand here so that I can read it off. Because there,
Can I entertain questions as you're writing? All right, thank you. Director Mersman.
I'm just curious procedurally, going back to our overall goal of allowing local jurisdiction control, if we want to offer the opportunity back to Edina for the amendment, for an additional amendment to add back the county engineer language.
Okay, thank you for
Oh,
that.
I'm sorry,
Oh,
that's
That's-
002.
That's a 2. Yeah, that's 02.
All right, we'll hold that
I
thought.
hold that thought,
Thank you.
but the opportunity still exists.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, going down the line, Mr. Gall.
So what we're going to consider is 4-1 right now.
Right,
The first
right.
one only.
And down the line, Nicole English.
Is there an ability for you to type it up and put it on the screen so that we can all really see what you're,
Yes.
okay, thank you.
Okay? Down the line, anybody else? Commissioner Beveridge?
Just because I'm an experienced member of Robert's Rules this week, the motion to call the vote theoretically doesn't allow discussion, but you have to probably rule on motion to call the vote first while he's writing up the language before we would then vote on the actual amendment,
Well,
et cetera.
We'll rewind to that. I was just taking your comments and questions while he's writing, but procedurally, we got you. So as this has been being written up, we do have one more item for consideration. I'll wait. Is this something that we should give people a break while you're writing this up, or you got it?
Mr. Chair, real quick for. Chair.
Yeah.
Quick clarification.
Yeah,
so
Mr. Claypool.
People understand, and Mr. Beveridge, I think, might concur with this. The motion to vote to bring the vote is a 2/3 vote. So it requires 2/3 of the body. Yeah, that's Robert's rules.
Yep.
So I think we can have somebody check that if necessary.
You're referring to the overall point about
To
2/3?
call the vote. So
Yeah.
we're gonna end discussion and call the vote. That requires a 2/3 majority.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna make another vote on that? That's the point? Commissioner, that's the point? Call the question? Yep. Okay. Which comes first? Always.
She's
Go
gonna
ahead,
have to
Mr.
roll
Beveridge.
call vote,
Yep,
but he's gonna have
yep.
more time.
That's where I'm inching toward. So Brenda's going to issue a second roll call. And Mr. Beveridge, one more time, or Mr. Claypool, your point? For the purposes of,
So I made a motion and it was seconded to call the vote. And then there's no more discussion on the original topic. That, as Mr. Claypool has pointed out, requires 2/3 majority.
Yeah.
So if we could have the roll call vote to just go straight to the vote. So there's 2 votes.
this is a vote.
Vote to vote.
Go to the vote, right? Okay, we'll
So
get that roll call quickly.
So a yes would be to,
Go to the vote. Yep. Yeah, that's a good question, though. John Gall asked. Can you ask it again, John?
just confirming that a yes was to go to the vote immediately.
Counselor, as you're writing, the question if we're,
The motion is to call the question and end debate.
Yeah.
So voting yes would end debate
and
and
go to the question.
require
Yep.
a vote on the pending question.
We just want to make sure we get that right. All right. So a yes vote would be to end the debate and call the question. All right. Brenda, call the roll.
Skip Claypool.
No.
John Gall.
No.
John Mara.
No.
Thomas Patrick.
No.
Mayor Fiala.
Yes.
Joseph Nanny.
Yes.
Nicole English.
Yes.
Bob Clyburn. Tom Jordan.
Yes.
Mayor Alai. Commissioner Beveridge.
Yes.
Mayor Bibb. Mayor Blackwell.
Yes.
Mayor Bradley.
Yes.
Commissioner Brackey.
Yes.
Trustee Brandon.
Yes.
Mayor Brubaker.
Yes.
Ben Capel. Mayor Costelli.
Yes.
Mary Serby.
Yes.
Andy Conrad.
Yes.
Trustee Cunningham. Mayor DeGeeter. James DeRosa.
Yes.
Kyle Dreyfus Wells.
Yes.
Commissioner Dvorak.
Yes.
Alan Exley.
Yes.
Kirsten Holzheimer Gale.
Yes.
Mayor George.
Yes.
Bethany Dentler.
Yes.
Councilwoman House Jones,
Yes.
Councilman Casey, Callie Merseman,
Yes.
Matt Moss,
Yes.
Mayor Petrus,
Yes.
Chris Ronayne,
Yes.
Councilman Slife. Did I miss anyone? 33 yes votes and 4 no votes.
Okay, thank you, Brenda, and thank you, everybody. We have a 2/3 majority to come out. Now, Counselor, with respect to the revised language to show on the screen, as the language is uploading to the original motion,
Completely unrelated while he's touching it.
how
I
the
wanna thank
Rangers.
Brenda from not going at the top of the alphabet this week. Thank you.
Right. Any other announcements for the good of the order? This would be the session for my high school civics daughter to watch. You guys are all heading to the United Nations.
Mr. Rodan, do you mind?
Please, Mr.
And
Claypool.
I want to give the board kudos, everybody on this board. There's a lot of people who think differently, and I want to give kudos to Chris Renane for the way he runs this meeting. I respect every individual on this board, and we disagree on many things. But this kind of a healthy discussion debate, I think, is a good thing, and it represents your constituents well.
Thank you very, Mr. Claypool. Anybody else? Our infrastructure is falling apart. It's taking a while. Stop kicking around there, Mr. Beveridge. Yeah, you need an engineer. Touche, Mr. Axel. Touche. Oh. All right, Liz, how we doing?
As soon as Ryan sends it to
Okay.
me. As soon as it travels through the internet.
Just take your breaks as needed.
So get it up. Here, and then we'll switch screen.
Who's got a tent? Sleep over.
So, do I need to close it?
Like in Lake County, where the county commissioner appointees, there's 5 of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who chooses that?
Okay, I appreciate everybody's patience. We have it up on the screen now.
All right, Liz, now you have in front of you, and Ryan, make sure that it says you wrote it. You have in front of you the revised language. Yeah, can you try to blow it up just a little more, Liz?
Yeah.
Like that, right? Yeah. Oh, all right, have a review, everybody. See. Okay. We okay?
We are. I will note that 4.2C through 4.2H is a reference to the pending amendment to Article 4.
Okay, we had an original motion by Mayor Lai. We had an amendment as per Mayor DeGeeter, and we had 1,000 seconds, wherever that landed, Brenda. So this is in front of you. We have a motion. We have a second. You see the amended language. Do we have any questions or discussion? All right, seeing none. Do we need a roll call?
Can we ask a point of clarification, just so we
Bethany,
understand?
yes.
Does this amendment mean that the concern that we had about the board being able to remove a member, does it address that concern?
It addresses the intent of my language is to address that concern by requiring that change made by this body to be approved by the corresponding county, municipality, authority, or agency. So the idea is, as I intended it, the idea is that if this body makes a decision to change that composition for any particular county, take Medina as an example, it would then have to go to Medina County and be approved by Medina County. So the board couldn't foist a change onto an individual county. That said, it wouldn't require ratification by all counties.
You're driving in the first case to local control, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Director Serby,
Is it appropriate for one question about this?
please.
Okay.
We're in question mode.
So I guess in general, in the entire charter or whatever we're dealing with of all of these pieces, is there any clause in that that talks about removal from the board for cause, or is it just a vote?
That is already addressed in the code, and I'll defer to Ryan to read the specifics.
I thought so.
I don't know if you even need to do that. It's in.
Don't have to. I just want to know if it was
Okay.
covered somewhere
Yeah,
else.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Beveridge, questions? Anybody? We just had a request to enlarge the seascape because everybody's mind has gone there. Kidding. Okay, so I guess it's a roll call. Desire, does anybody want to call for that? If I don't hear a call for that, okay, we got a roll call. Okay, Brenda, we have the motion in the second, with the amendments included. Let's go.
Mr. Claypool,
Why do you have to pick him? Why don't you go to Mr. Li?
I can't win here. I need, whatever. So Claypool,
No.
John Gall,
Yes.
Mayor Mara,
No.
Thomas Patrick,
No.
Mayor Fiala,
Yes.
Joseph Nanny,
Yes.
Nicole English,
Yes.
Bob Kleiber, Tom Jordan,
Yes.
Mayor Alai, Commissioner Beveridge,
Aye.
Mayor Bibb,
Yes.
Mayor Blackwell,
Yes.
Mayor Bradley,
Yes.
Commissioner Brackey,
Yes.
Trustee Brandon,
Yes.
Mayor Brubaker,
Yes.
Ben Capel, Mayor Costelli,
Yes.
Mary Serby,
Yes.
Andy Conrad,
No.
Trustee Cunningham, Mayor DeGeeter, James DeRosa,
Yes.
Kyle Dreyfus Wells,
Yes.
Commissioner Dvorak,
Yes.
Alan Exley, Mayor Holsheimer Gale,
Yes.
Mayor George,
Yes.
Bethany Dentler,
No. No.
Councilwoman House Jones,
No.
Councilman Casey,
Yes.
Callie Merseman,
Yes.
Matt Moss,
Yes.
Mayor Petrus,
Yes.
Chris Ronayne,
Yes.
Councilman Slife. Did I miss anyone? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So 31 yes votes and 6 no votes.
Okay, motion passes, and I have a question now.
Nope. I make a motion to approve resolution 2026-002, Code of Regulations revisions regarding section 4.2 membership.
Okay, so we have a motion. We don't have language in front of us, but we have the,
Can I second that motion?
yes, thank you, Mayor Bibb. Liz, do you want to show any visual prompt to that, or so people remember what they're has to be voting on?
No.
All right, we have a motion, a second for resolution 26-002. Just Counselor Grace, any further comment? And then I want to ask if there's questions or comments about this. As amended, but we haven't amended yet. Do we need to take this recess again? Or, yeah.
Would you like me to make an amendment?
I think an amendment may be coming from Medina County.
Motion to amend
Oh,
this
okay.
resolution as written up by legal to represent the request from Medina County to maintain the same composition.
Yeah, Counselor.
Yeah, that works. I understand Medina County's request to be to maintain the same composition as currently exists.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second, and I'm assuming that second is okay with the amended language. So do we have any further discussion? Mr. Claypool?
And this is a question for Ryan. Can a second amendment motion be made?
If you want to either amend the motion to amend or further amend, yes.
However procedurally that is best to do, I'd like to make an amendment to ensure that each county commissioner is an independent authority and can appoint the person that they choose to appoint. And that person does not have to be either a elected official or hold a position in the county. In other words, it can be anybody they choose.
So
Okay, we have stated amendment to the amendment.
I'll second that motion.
I'm looking at council before I take the second.
Let's vote on the initial motion to amend, and then we'll entertain a second motion to amend.
There's going to be a vote on the First Amendment as incorporated in the motion in the second. Mayor Bibb, are you okay as the second to the first motion in concurrence with Mayor Morris, Commissioner Beverages? Okay, so we're going to, unless I have a further discussion on it, we're going to vote on that motion and the second that's on the floor with the amendment, the initial amendment. All right, roll call, please.
And just for clarity, this vote is to make the Medina County change, and then we'll entertain.
And I don't know
any-
that we need a roll call for the amendment. I'm not asking for a roll call, so.
If nobody's asked for a roll call, I can call the question. Is nobody asking for the roll call? Okay, then you realize what you're voting on? We need it restated? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, congratulations, the motion carries. Now we have Mr. Claypool. You've already stated it. You want us to restate it, or do you want to restate
Yeah,
it?
it's a little confusing, so my intent is to ensure that each commissioner is an independent authority and retains that authority and cannot be removed or impacted by any other commissioners, and that they can choose an alternate of their choice, regardless of any experience.
Did everybody hear that? Okay, question on the point. Got one from Director Serby.
Just a question on the point. So in the documents that were provided to us on this resolution, letter K for alternates, it says that the alternates shall be subject to the same requirements as board members. So I don't know if his motion is allowable. But I think go back to the language that we proceed in the procedural or the first presentation where we talked about in transportation planning, environmental planning, land use planning, that was a requirement. So if alternates have to meet that same, I guess that's a question, or is his motion?
The amendment is in conflict with the proposed,
language?
the red lines in front of you now. The
Yeah,
Proposed amendment
the-
does conflict
the-
with that. And
Say that again, Liz.
the proposed amendment does conflict with the amendments that are proposed as part of this, yes.
Okay. Mr. Claypool, do you have a comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, clearly it's in conflict, so I'm wanting to amend this language to include what I just said, and for the sake of argument, former county commissioners have clearly the experience to be able to fulfill the requirement of having experience and so forth. And there are other, maybe former county engineers, other individuals. That should be left to the discretion of the county commissioner, putting the person at the seat who he feels can best represent the interest of his constituents.
Okay,
And so that's the intent.
thank you, Mr. Claypool. Any other questions or comments? So just to clarify, I'm going to try to state this and go to council. A yes vote and this vote would be to maintain the language as prescribed here, because we would pair the language through both sections, right, Liz? A no vote would support Mr. Claypool's amendment to that, which is to eliminate this language.
I think that's reversed.
I'm sorry.
We are voting on Mr.
Right,
Claypool's
because we're voting on Mr. Claypool's amendment.
to
I apologize.
amend, and although we don't have proposed language, it is something akin to
Yeah.
not including the
Yep.
not
So,
including
yeah.
this requirement in section K.
Okay, so
So a yes would support that amendment, a no would.
a yes
leave
would
the
eliminate the
proposed
language that
as
we
they are
previously
currently
approved.
presented.
Okay, the yes would concur with Mr. Claypool's point and eliminate the language we previously approved. A no vote would maintain it. Mr. Beveridge?
Has there been a second on that amendment request?
Yes, by
second,
Mr.
yes.
Morrow. Okay,
Just making sure.
so we're going to vote on the amendment to eliminate the language. A yes vote would be to do so. A no vote would be to not do so. Do I need a roll call?
Call for a roll call.
I've got a call for a roll call. And I'm going to ask council who's asking questions before we go. Is there any concern, council?
Forgive me, I want to just make sure I understand
Yep.
what's up for amendment.
Why don't you restate it so that everybody understands it?
I'm not sure I understand it. That's why I'm
Yes,
asking.
so the
Liz?
intent, right now, the current language says,
Let me, Ms. Claypool, just out of
Go ahead.
fairness, can I go to Liz to get her interpretation?
So, we are voting, the original motion, our main motion is to approve the proposed changes to the code. Those proposed changes include the language in front of you, which is a section A regarding the requirements, the qualifications for board members. Additionally, those amendments say that this language in section, what is 4.2A, also applies to section 4.2K regarding alternates. So alternates would also have to meet this requirement. I understand Mr. Claypool's amendment would remove that application to alternates. So if you look in your packet on the red line version of section 4.2, paragraph K on alternates, there is an added section that says the requirements of 4.2A also apply to alternates. This would take out that added language.
Thank you. So once again, Ryan, this is a yes vote would be to concur and remove the language.
I
and no
actually-
vote.
I would note that it has been interpreted that the requirements of the board do apply to alternates. This clarifies that that
Yeah.
is in fact the intention.
Yeah, okay. Mr. Claypool?
and the first part of that, though, is right now, if you read the Geauga County list of people that can apply, it's county commissioner appointee. And so that should be, each individual commissioner is on that. You can't have two commissioners create an appointee for the third seat. Each commissioner will retain their sovereignty and then appoint an alternate of their choosing.
And you're saying is incorporated in your amendment?
Yes.
Okay. Are we clear? All right. Please, Grace.
Yeah, Mr. Claypool, though, that would not address additional commissioner appointees. So in some cases, counties have 5 commissioner appointees and there are only 3 commissioners. So it is not inherent in that.
In other counties.
Right.
Yeah.
So it
Outside
you-
of Geauga. Right.
correct.
Okay.
That would only apply to Geauga. It would not apply to Lake. That could not be done. It would have to be done as a block with the county boards.
Okay. So we have an amendment to vote on and we're going to have a roll call.
Not really, because I'm looking at Lake. So if each commissioner retains his sovereignty, the commissioners appoint the following appointees. So you have the commissioner appointee, right now it's engineer, or commissioner
No,
appointee.
go to the new language, Liz, could you pull that up, or the new listing?
I'm looking at it, it says Lake Trans, so the
No,
commissioners
right,
get to.
no, look at this. This is the new language that is being proposed. So you have 5 county commissioner appointees. It is not possible for each commissioner to own those. It must be done as a block.
The third and fourth seat, I see what you're saying.
Mhm.
Yes, and so we could easily make, extend the amendment to say that outside of the commissioners, they vote to fill those other 2 appointee seats.
If I can clarify regarding the current process, NOACA's code does not speak to how the city or the counties give us their appointments. It has been done in practice where we receive a resolution. I'm going to give Medina County because I'm looking at them. Medina County gives us a resolution that says, here are our appointments to NOACA's board. That is their process. We don't require that. So counties are, and the city still have flexibility with their process and making their appointments to the board. That has always existed. Annually, we get that.
And as you stare at this screen, this is why we're having this meeting, such that you can make these appointments before the January 23rd meeting in 2 weeks. Correct, Liz?
Apologize, say that again?
Well, they need to look at this.
Yes,
The
so
task at hand is
so
to
that's
make.
a good point. Should it pass, we would need your appointees if they had not been made already
Yeah.
by next week.
And you're not referring per se to the amendment itself. You're
It's-
you're referring to the entire board action.
It's my understanding this resolution needs to be ratified
So-
by the 5 counties.
To complicate matters, this listing of board members does not, well, now we've changed it a little. The intention was to not have this list of board members ratified by every county.
Right.
We have now changed that. So it does have to be ratified by those that it affects. So, Cuyahoga County will have to ratify the changes made to your
Yes.
board members. The board does still have to, all counties ratify any other changes to Article 4 outside of this.
Yep.
So the added language about member requirements, the added language where that applies to alternates still has to be ratified. That is not changed.
And incorporate it into your thinking as you make the appointments, if you're making appointments. Okay, so we have an amendment to revert and move away from the language that was previously approved in the first section. And that amendment comes from Mr. Claypool. So a vote in the affirmative of Mr. Claypool's amendment would, among other things, remove that language. A no vote would keep it as it was originally proposed. Okay, we have a roll call.
Councilman Slife,
It's tough to be first. You gotta, it makes you think. Thank you, Councilman Slade.
Tronane,
No.
Mayor Petrus,
No.
Matt Moss, Callie Merseman,
No.
Councilman Casey, Councilwoman House Jones,
No.
Bethany Dentler,
No.
Mayor George, Mayor Holzheimer Gale,
No.
Alan Exley, Commissioner Dvorak,
No.
Kyle Dreyfus Wells,
No.
James DeRosa,
No.
Mayor DeGeeter, Trustee Cunningham,
No.
Andy Conrad,
No.
Mary Serby,
No.
Mayor Caselli.
No.
Ben Capel. Mayor Brubaker.
No.
Trustee Brandon,
No.
Commissioner Brackey,
No.
Mayor Bradley,
No.
Mayor Blackwell,
No.
Mayor Bibb,
No.
Commissioner Beveridge,
Nay.
Mayor Alai, Skip Claypool,
Yes.
John Gall,
No.
Mayor Mara,
Yes.
Thomas Patrick,
No.
Mayor Fiala,
No.
Joseph Nanny,
No.
Nicole English,
No.
Bob Kleiber, Tom Jordan.
No.
Did I miss anyone? Okay, so I have 2 yes votes and 35 no votes.
Okay, the motion for the amendment fails. We are back to the original motion, and just a reminder as to who motioned, who motioned the action?
I made the motion with
Beveridge, and
the
we had-
amendment of the language regarding the Medina.
Medina amendment, and did we had a second from Mayor Bibb, right? Okay, so that is back to, could you just, the reference language at least, not the amendment, but just the action at hand. Liz, just go to the second action. All right, this is what you are addressing. The resolution was crafted with the amendment from Medina County. A yes vote would be to pass this, obviously. So do we need a roll call? Does anybody call for one? I don't see one. All right. Seeing none, I'm going to call the question. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much for your work on these two resolutions, and I want to thank the Governance Committee and a lot of work that went into this. This is why we met today. Liz, can you put the composition slide up again? To get to this, which is to get you purview over your appointments for the January 23rd meeting. And at that point, we'll also be slating and nominating and voting on officers. Good luck, future officers. Callie.
Process question
Yes.
that we individually need to approve these.
Yeah.
We need to get that in writing to NOACA by January 23rd for it to be effective.
I should turn that over to legal counsel in terms of the ratification component.
Yeah, look, that would certainly be preferred because then we don't have any issues seating your folks.
But again, as I stated earlier, a county may at this point not put it on their docket for approval, and it may not get approved. And those are the other components, but this has already been passed.
Yep. Okay. Anybody else? All right. We have no further presentations, I take it? No further reports, I take it? No further old business, or is there old business? No further new business? No further public comment. Do I have a motion to adjourn, Mayor DeGeeter? Motion, second, everybody. Thanks very much. We'll call the meeting. Happy New Year. See you on the 23rd.
Hey, that was the first time I ever voted on
Fun time.
Fun times.
Good job. Wow, I'm not so sure. Thank you for allowing me. Thank you for allowing me to use that.
There's still some loose ends.
Why like the conviction ratification?
That was why you and I talked about it. That was, I mean, that's why we put it in the pot. To approve it, it needed to be approved with that. There's no other way to do it.
In advance, it's not my fault.
They had,
All right.
well, then we still had time to
Grace.
do some other things, but.
Because here's the thing,